Hello everyone! This is the first video on my channel, so it's probably not going to be all that good, and my content might not always be this, but I've seen rant videos on this person and feel the need to address a few things here and there. Disclaimer, I don't condone witch hunts, please don't harass this user. So, for starters, her art is interesting. I don't see many people draw without outlining, so good on her for thinking outside the box. The colors aren't harsh on the eyes and combine pretty well, but the majority of her colors come from the basic colors MS Paint offers you. Try playing with the shades of green to see what grabs your attention more, other than just seeing those colors and slapping them together. Art is all about experimenting after all. She doesn't look like any other cat OC that I've seen in the Undertale community, so that's a plus too. Though, her powers could use some work. I am personally not a fan of Undertale characters having Sans' powers, because that becomes old very quickly. Sans isn't that strong of a character when half of the Underground's population can summon Gaster Blasters at a whim, taking away from his character's uniqueness. We don't even know how he acquired those powers. What we do know, however, is that the Underground is full of all sorts of monsters with all sorts of crazy, unique abilities. So why on earth would you settle for something that's already been done? I get it, it's cool, but in my opinion it would be much cooler if she attacked with something that's, like, new or different. Like, if she attacked with her claws, or if she threw yarn balls and cat toy bombs made of her magic at her opponents, fitting in with the silliness of the game as a whole. Everyone and their mothers has telekinesis at this point, and it leaves a lot to be desired. That being said, I'm not a fan of her using said powers to attack other fangirls. This sort of thing has been done before with Cutie, but I've yet to see someone add as much gruesome detail as she does. She even adds tendons being ripped apart as, like, she tears limbs off and decapitation. And the dialogue exchange between her character and someone else's before she does the deed is disgusting. And I can't believe anyone would draw this sort of thing over a fictional character with the intent of terrorizing other fangirls. This is wrong, and this sort of behavior needs to stop in this community. For starters, Sans is Toby Fox's creation, not yours. If you were to add a love interest for Sans to the game, nobody would have a say in this. Not you, not me, not any other fangirl. Second, why would you hate on someone that feels the same as you do? If anyone gets your obsession with Sans, it's another fangirl. Why is this starting fights instead of finding you friendships? I've got plenty of friends with OCs that ship themselves with Sans, and I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I'm glad there's so many people giving my favorite character love. God knows he needs more hugs. Third, I'm sorry to say this, but Sans would never love a character with that much LV in them. The entire point of Undertale's genocide route is for you to feel guilty about your actions towards the monsters in the Underground. So tell me how, after knowing this, do you give your character the ability Sans uses in his battle against a murderer to murder, and then think he'll look at your character with anything but disgust? His entire character is all about judgment of the player's actions. Trying to be his significant other after going all yandere mode on anyone who even looks at him would be pretty hard, considering his judgment is pretty harsh when you kill any sort of monster. All of that aside, it's an actual death threat. You're purposely trying to instill fear in others to get what you want, and it's petty and childish. It's all about the intent in this situation, and that much is pretty clear. Now let me reiterate. There is nothing wrong with being a Sans fangirl, but when you act like this, nobody is going to want to side with you. You'll be written off as another rabid fangirl and will continue to get hate in your comments section. You have the potential to be a good artist, but this sort of thing needs to stop. It's disturbing, and someone your age shouldn't be thinking of or drawing this sort of stuff in the first place. Being part of a fandom is all about having fun. So tell me, what's fun about being hated for sending death threats to others? Hello again! I'm Ophi the Sheep, and today's video is about an MLP and Undertale fangirl known as Lolly, Sans' only waifu girlfriend and CJ. Now, before you think I'm simply gonna comment on her being a pony and a Sans fangirl, I have news for you. I used to be a part of the MLP fandom, and I think that makes me qualified enough to comment on appearance without sounding brony-phobic? Is that a word? Either way, no problem with ponies, or even ponies who ship themselves with Sans, OC or otherwise. But I do want to add in a few notes about the design and other things I believe can be improved. While everyone's already thinking it, a good chunk of her artwork is simply either recolored art or bases from DeviantArt. Now, my stance on recolors and bases is a little lenient, because I used to be a recolor artist and base user myself. My view on it is, well, you grow out of it eventually. It really stunts your growth as an artist though, so I wouldn't recommend it. The sooner you beat the habit, drop the crutches, and rely on your own art, the better. Now, that's just how it affects you. You have to remember that artists worked hard on the images you're coloring over before you go to DeviantArt. Pull up someone's artwork and scribble all over it with your paintbrush. Take into consideration that this is incredibly disrespectful to the artist who took their time on that artwork. You wouldn't like it if someone made you a really nice picture of Lily, or you drew a picture of Lily that you really liked and someone else came along, colored over it, and then claimed they drew it. Please empathize and try to see that this affects others, not just you. Though, I'm happy to say I haven't seen much a dependency to recoloring, and she's relying on hand-drawn artwork for the most part, so good on her. That earns her cred in my book. However, there is room for improvement, and here are some tips for you, Lily. For starters, while her colors don't clash, you're playing it far too safe with all the shades of blue. Get a little expressive. Colors like white, periwinkle, some greens, and even given the right design, orange or yellow alongside a navy blue can combine really well and make your character pop. I've noticed a use of circle tool, and that has me a little worried. When you use a circle for the face, and don't add to it, it simply looks like she has a round head and a lack of a muzzle. Mares and stallions have distinct shapes to their faces that can tell them apart. When you just use a circle tool, you don't have that, and everything, human, skeleton, or pony, just looks the same. It's an easy way out, and your drawing doesn't look as good as it could. Making her into an alicorn has me a little iffy. Right off the bat, it makes her, well, overpowered. Design-wise, you could have liked the way she looked. But if you look into the show's lore, how well would she have fit in as an alicorn that showed up out of nowhere when she isn't royalty? There aren't many alicorns in general, making her one of the incredibly rare species in Equestria. Only Celestia, Luna, Twilight, Cadence, and Flurryharp are known alicorns, and they're all a part of royalty. Maybe pick between Earth Pony, Pegasus, and Unicorn? And if you have your heart set on her being an alicorn, maybe elaborate on how she got her wings or horn in the first place. Maybe even add a backstory. Or a cutie mark story. Really develop her backstory and get a feel for what she's like. Her personality, her friendships, her likes and dislikes, all that good stuff. It really helps bringing your character to life, so to speak. Second, references are your friends. Study the show's art style. Drawing ponies is difficult at first with their strange shapes and hooves and large eyes, but with practice and referencing, I'm sure you'll like your future drawings of her a lot more. After watching her most recent video, I realized that her art is improving. I'm happy for her. However, I feel the need to comment on the subject matter of a few of her past videos, as again, I found them to be of graphic nature and threatening to anyone who happens to like the hoodie-clad skeleton. I will not repeat myself, as I am not fond of saying things twice, but I will say that it's wrong, and fangirls should be able to coexist without threatening to disembowel each other over who gets to date the skeleton, when they can all date Sans because there are an infinite number of him due to infinite timelines and infinite alternate universes. But I digress. Lily, stay away from this kind of stuff. Set yourself apart from the other fangirls if you know what's good for you and your channel. Everyone is doing it isn't an excuse, it's not real isn't an excuse, and they started it isn't an excuse. Be the bigger person. Set an example for all the future fangirls that this isn't the way. Remind everyone of why they love Undertale in the first place. Take the pacifist route this time. Hit that mercy button. It's not too late.